What is up, my viewers? Spang here, bringing you a World of Tanks gameplay commentary. This is a viewer-submitted replay from Mr. Never Aim, and we have some explosions going on in the distance. If you can't tell, he is driving the T-62 Alpha, and it is going to be a standard battle on Kampanovka, which is actually called Dalanovka, but let's face it, it's Kampanovka. Always will be Kampanovka, no matter. Well, I guess the devs could eventually one day figure out a way to fix this map. And they've done a lot towards trying to do that, but have yet to really address the issue. I think many players would probably agree with me. Still, it's going to be a mostly tier 9 battle, I would say. Only a few tier 10s per team, you know, nothing too overwhelming. And it does look like Never Aim's team actually has a pretty good lineup there. You got an E5 and a 4202 for a decent mobile, well rate of fire guns. I mean, the 62A is always going to be a good vehicle. E100 and oh my goodness. So, looking like I'm not sure if that's his mission or the mission I have selected on my game client at this point in time. That's a tough one to actually figure out. But, continuing with the trend, this is going to obviously be vanilla client with no mods due to issues I explained last match, last replay. And looks like they will be heading towards the hill where medium tanks always like to go, get there first, establish some dominance, and really see what they can do to punish that enemy team if they don't go to the hill. I do feel like this side is favored for taking hill, more so than the enemy team. Looking like scout tanks doing their thing. And yeah, we saw that little 1375 drown himself. Quite unfortunate. Looks like T-71's battling it out over there, getting a little support from both their teams, and the enemy T-71 will get eliminated, looking like Never Aim trying to take a shot there. It is worth noting Never Aim is platooned up with a clanmate, part of the 22nd Armored Cavalry Unit 22 ACU on Skari. That's how I'm going to say his name anyway. Not quite sure if it's correct, but regardless, looking like an E50, who is really no match for the might of the T-62A. Trying to come up and take the hill, contest it, especially with the 4202 there. Now, 4202, not exactly a Clan Wars viable tank. In fact, it's not even in the game anymore. They have since replaced it with the Action X or the Action 10, whatever you want to call it. And, which, to my understanding, more or less plays very similar to it. Still, okay, looking like we're still running into replay issues of it not spotting enemy vehicles that are spotted. Never Aim clearly having that vehicle spotted on his client, but in my game, there it is, finally the replay catching up and showing us that he is indeed shooting a T-57. The E-75 looking like he is going to get damaged again, saying he is no match. Never Aim clearly abusing the nearly broken turret armor of the T-62. The one thing about that is finally taking some damage there from the E-75 way back there. STI, ST1, whatever you want to call it, coming up as well, looking like that E50 might not get away. But, as I was saying, the downside to the 62A is it doesn't have the best gun depression, so there's that. But, I was also going to say the 4202, while not entirely Clan Wars viable, just like the 48 Patton, they are both very good vehicles in terms of matchmaker because they are so flexible, they are so multi-role. But what you don't need generally good vehicles that can fulfill a lot of roles in Clan Wars. You typically need in Clan Wars highly specialized vehicle centered around the strategies you develop for Clan Wars map and working with a coordinated team. So that is why they're not Clan Wars viable, but they're good pubby tanks, they're good matchmaking, you know, random battle tanks. So the 4202 more than capable. Now, Never Aim did let me know that this is a battle where he just recently unlocked the 62A, purchased it, messed around with it a little bit, and this is the result. This can't be more than a dozen games in, is what he said. So doing very well for himself, despite not being entirely experienced in this vehicle. But you play one Russian medium, you played all of them. And the E-75 way back there, oh my goodness, the whole bunch of enemy vehicles favoring to shoot the E-75. There we go. I was going to say, instead of the nearly dead E-50, which he now does eliminate, quickly managing to catch up in terms of tank count, tank kills between teams there. I'm not quite sure if... Nope, Skari did not have anything to do with that in terms of kills, but I'm sure he had plenty to do with that in terms of damage. We're going to see exactly how well, you know, his platoon mate is doing here. right after the battle. But the IS-8, which also isn't in the game anymore, really, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. I forget what the actual designation. It's the T-10 now, isn't it? Yeah, that sounds right. The E-75, way back there. Still trying to be a sniper heavy. Like, I understand German vehicles are supposed to be the more accurate ones, but, I mean, come on, E-75. You're really, there's not even any artillery per team. There's no artillery on either team. If you're a heavy tank and there's no artillery, you should really be pushing this hill. Now, the IS-8/T-10, not a traditional heavy. It's more of a heavium. It's a hybrid heavy that plays more like a medium. Some would argue that the T-110A5 is a bit like that. Maybe less though, since current patches have buffed its armor a little bit when it was transferred to HD. But this IS-8, getting into a battle, he truly just cannot win. Looking like Ansari might be in a little bit of trouble with all those heavy tanks pushing into him. And Bondar, I'm sorry, not Bondar, I just got done with that commentary. But Never Aim, really not taking the time to help his ally who is now dead. And I understand he had that vehicle in front of him, but truly, I do believe he could have not engaged that IS-8 and fallen back to help his ally. However, that also would have opened up the IS-8 to coming up on this hill and coming down on top of both of them. So I don't think there was truly any situation there where it was going to work out in their favor any better than it is now. Now that T-57 Heavy, not quite sure if he is reloading. He is not. And Never Aim getting very close to death here. Not quite sure if he's going to hold out. But he does have 5 kills, and he's done a good chunk of damage for his team. Even without my mods, I know how much damage he's been putting out. Not precisely, I just know it's a lot. And how do I know that? He's only got 2 standard shells now, and 5 heat rounds, 2 high explosive. The IS-3 not managing to get through the somewhat formidable armor. I would say the T-62A has better armor than the IS-3. And Never Aim's team actually pulling ahead here. Only 1 standard shell left. And the only vehicles remaining for the enemy team are a bat shot, an E-75, which we all know where that one is, and the IS-4. In fact, I know what I can do. Ooh, the E-5 pinging. Are you kidding me right now? So I'm assuming that heavy tank spot way down there is the E-75, but clearly I'm going to have to tweak my map settings here so it actually shows the vehicles on the map. And so we aren't left guessing, but nope, that is the IS-4 indeed. We can tell by kill feed. And the IS-4 with its butt exposed will get shot. Surprise butt sex, as I like to say when I'm joking around in the game. And not a whole lot of shells left for Never Aim here. Not quite sure he's actually going to be able to pull this one off. Trying to aim more for the turret superstructure. He does get a shot on it and will get the damage. Not quite sure he's going to roll the damage he needs to kill that IS-4, and it looks like it didn't even matter. He did not lead that target correctly, or maybe he did and it bounced. It's hard to say. The E-75 with way too many hit points for how many shells he has left. Literally, not enough bullets left to kill the enemy team. And it's looking like he can't win. His team has let him down. The 1390 getting taken out by the Batchat. And he is the last remaining vehicle for his team. If I was him, I mean, this is a no-win situation, right? I would save those high explosive shells for the Batchat. Do as much damage as I could to it. Maybe fall back across the town behind him rather than do this. But he's saying, GG, well played, out of ammo. I don't know if I would have finished this battle as I have, but he's being very respectable about it. Just letting his tank, even positioning his side armor. Wow. Very chivalrous of you, sir. Very honorable. But let's go to those post-game stats. We have no control over this. It's going to automatically close out. And here we go. Earning himself only first class. I have to assume that is due to the fact, more or less, that there weren't a lot of tier 10 vehicles, a lot of lower tier things that really just weren't giving him the experience he needed upon damaging them. I mean, that's unfortunately how the damage scale works in this game. Had there been more tier 10s present, or even more tier 9s present for him to shoot at, unless tier 8s, I mean, he probably would have gotten a ace tanker on this, but did get fire for effect, duelist, and bruiser, of course, because he got high caliber and top gun, damaging quite a few things, and killing some of those tier 10 vehicles like the T-57 Heavy, and damaging the IS-4. decently enough. 3 shots into him for damage. And it looks like a pretty significant low roll on that too. I mean, yeesh. The average damage of those shells is 320 if I'm not mistaken. So that is RNG not really being favorable to him there. But over 9,000 damage. And he says here exactly 4,900 blocked as well. Quite a bit of damage done from a considerable distance of 300 meters or more. Not that much when you take it into the grand scheme of his actual damage, but looking like Anscari doing more than enough to pull his weight as well. The E100, of course, that's what you want to see. You want to see your tier 10s being your top performers for your team. Otherwise, I mean, what were they doing? It's like taking candy from a baby. But unfortunately, looking like the T-32 and T-34, the 1375 who drowned, and the M41 Walker Bulldog, a whole lot of people not really able to do anything. Didn't even get spotting damage. He did get vehicle spotted. Got shot a bunch, but didn't do anything. T-34 got 1 shot off. T-32 got 5 shots off. Yeah, just a whole lot of people not really able to do much. Whereas the enemy team, that Bat Chat, doing pretty well for himself. A decent performance to be assured, you know, very respectable. 5 kills, over 4,600 damage in the eyes for nearly 4,000 damage, and did get himself steel wall, taking it away from, actually, no, I was corrected by this. No, I think it was in fact Never Aim who corrected me. You can actually earn all the medals. Like, even though they say awarded to 1 player, like Wargaming changed that around and multiple players can be awarded it, as we saw in the past replay where like 2 players got Confederate or Top Gun or something. Everyone can earn it, but one of the contingents of Steel Wall is that you live. You had to survive the battle, and Never Aim didn't because he went boom at the end. And that's the only thing he could have done differently. He could have tried to run and drag it out and not die and hope the enemy team captured and all that fun stuff. But instead, he was a really good sport about it, accepted his fate, and even presented his full side to the enemy team. So I'm never going to knock good sportsmanship. I'm just saying if he was a bit more competitively minded during that match, but it's random battles. You don't need to be competitively minded. I'm just saying if he was a bit more competitively minded in that match, he could have ran and tried to hide and not fired his high explosive shells at the E75, saved him for the Bat Chat. But again, never gonna knock good sportsmanship. Instead of being toxic and just trying to drag the match out and force the enemy team to find him, he was a really good sport, really just a great example, a shining example of what players in this community should probably try to be more like. Now, because of all the shells he did fire, if he wasn't running premium, he would have gone into the red. But thankfully, because he made actually a profit on that despite all the shells he fired. And all 50 of them gone. So 50 shots fired, 42 actually managed to hit. And unfortunately, only 32 penetrated. Could have possibly had a better accuracy ratio had he aimed a bit better and gotten a bit better RNG and all that fun stuff, but he's still got over 9,000 damage. You can't really argue with that. So I'm not gonna give him too much hassle over it. Very well played, sir. Very well done. Earning yourself a good amount of experience, even on a loss. Very happy for you. But anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. If you liked this video, if you enjoyed it, please consider hitting that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you got something you want to share or comment, definitely comment section below. And if you have a replay you think I should do a commentary on, description has instructions on how to submit, as well as a whole bunch more. But until next time, this has been Spang. Clearly, I am just oh so professional.
MLG Dynamo.